In studio for another El Segmento is Mr. Tim Magner, President, Shreveport Chamber of Commerce. What you got down there, kid?
Well, Tim, I hope it's okay if I call you Tim.
Okay.
In your exchanges with the mayor and the city council members, you've also encouraged them to include one or two, I believe the email said, quality of life items that will help bring people here or spur growth. Give me an idea why that's so important to you.
Well, when you look at some of the items that are in the bond proposal, it's a lot like replacing your water heater, right? I mean, it's something you've got to do, but it's not sexy. It doesn't add to the curb appeal of your home, if you will. And I think when you look at communities, there was a really interesting piece in the New York Times recently about communities that are not in and of themselves destinations, and that part of what they need to do is to be vigorous and aggressive when it comes to quality of life. And I think we have a great deal of quality of life amenities. We have the festivals, we have some really great stuff. We don't have anything recently that's iconographic, that is something that stands out.
Suggestions, ideas.
Well, again, I think things like they had the lighting on the bridge, or the riverfront park. I mean, there are things that we've worked at to do, but I don't think in recent years there's anything that really stands out that we could point to. And as we look at both, taking care of business with the infrastructure pieces that need to be put in place, identifying something that we can all be proud of, that the community can invest in to help us stand out as a community, or help provide a way for us to develop some community pride.
When you have a meeting, this is a little inside baseball info I'm looking for here. When you have a meeting with the mayor about something as important as this $220 million bond issue, when you have a meeting with the mayor, is it just you and him, or do you take your people and you go in and he's got him and his people and you close the door and there's like 10 of you in the room, or was it sort of a one-on-one, we can be frank?
Oh, I think in this particular instance, it was that. It was the latter. And he had reached out after we received the letter and said, "Hey, can we sit down and talk?" And I'm always open to that. And I like to think we have a good relationship and can have those conversations. There is a point. I think we do have people with a lot of expertise on our board, people who are in the design, construction, build, financing community. And if there's an opportunity for us to provide some expertise or some perspective, we're more than happy to do that as well.
We have him on, Mayor Perkins, just past 8 o'clock. I can ask him the same question. But when you say to the mayor, look, I'm looking at this $220 million deal, I think it might be a little high. What was his response to that?
Well, I mean, it's his plan, so he's clearly he believes that everything in there is worth fighting for, and I think that's his prerogative. And I think he also recognizes that this is a dialogue, both not only with us but with the city council as well. And so I think he has a rationale for everything that's in there, and I think we have some questions, and they've been very forthcoming in their willingness to talk with us and to provide us with information. So, and there's a public meeting next week that we'll certainly be a part of, and if there's an opportunity for us to provide additional input, or if there are ways that we can be helpful in the process beyond that, we're certainly happy to do that.
Tim, the concerns that you've expressed to the mayor and to the city council members, was this from your members, from your board, from you as the president, all of the above, the committee of 100? You've heard from a lot of people then who have concerns.
Well, we definitely, as we know that we're going to be asked to support the bond issue. That the city has come to us in the past, as have the school system, as has the parish, and given that we had an opportunity to inject ourselves into the conversation at this point in the process, so that ideally we can come together to build a proposal that we can all support and that moves the city forward. We felt it was important to reach out at this point.
Not that this is a pet peeve of anyone in the room, but the 2011 bond issue, and you mentioned it a minute ago, so I'm going to go back to what you said earlier. Sure. Let's take Knight Street. We voted on it in 2011. Mm-hmm. Widen Knight Street, put in sidewalks, put in lighting. Sitting here waiting. Mm-hmm. Nothing's done. How do I feel? how am I going to feel differently about this bond issue when I'm looking at stuff that I voted on 8 or 9 years ago, and not a piece of dirt's been turned yet?
Well, again, and I think that's one of the things that we want to make sure that, to the extent that we can, we're identifying those opportunities to make sure that, hey, this is appropriately budgeted. There's enough money for this in today's dollars, not in whatever it may have been put on the list. We want to make sure that there's capacity at the city engineer or at the MPC to be able to get these projects appropriately managed and monitored, to get them completed. And, I my perspective, and this is something that, I'm not trying to advise the mayor in any way, but it would seem to me that at this point, being able to have some projects that get bonded, that get done, that you can say, hey, we were able to be successful. We're good stewards with your money. We got these projects done on time. Would enable the mayor and the future administrations to go back to folks and say, hey, we need additional dollars to continue to build this. We have a substantial number of needs in the community that need to be funded, and I think what we need to make sure of is that we're good stewards with the resources that we have, and that we're able to be successful in accomplishing the infrastructure redevelopment that's necessary.
Time for one more, kid. You want it?
This might be out of your wheelhouse, but I'll throw it at you and see. Police substations. Mm-hmm. They had them in Baton Rouge. They shut them down. Mm-hmm. We're talking about building police substations in Shreveport. Is that on a list of things that you would consider primary need of our community at this stage?
I think that's one of the ones, frankly, that I think we need to know more about. Just having a building isn't necessarily a deterrent, right? We need to understand what the plan is around that, what staffing looks like. And it may be that, yes, we need substations, but it also may be that there are storefronts we could use, or there are other things that we could do, or that actually we need to just, have more visible policing in the neighborhoods. That to me is a broader conversation about the mayor and the police chief's approach toward public safety. And if there's a rationale that, hey, we need these substations because that's the linchpin in how we do this, then I think we're open to that conversation. But that's not, again, that isn't in the bond proposal. There's physical infrastructure in the bond proposal, but how that factors into an overall public safety approach isn't clear.